What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Basketball. It is Thursday, January 26th, 2023, and we are back at it and better than ever here on the Barstool Sportsbook channel. We are every day, Monday through Friday. I am your host, Jeff Nadu, and our old friend Jim Rood is back. Jim Rood, special Thursday guest. He is at the three-man weave. You can follow him on Twitter at Second Chance Points. They're doing all sorts of great college content. Jim, how are you? It was an interesting evening of hoops, at least for me. I had a 2-0 night here on the show. I'll take it.
Hey,
but I wanted to talk a couple of storylines last night. Texas Tech is bad. This is the worst team in the Big 12. That's how good the Big 12 is. Texas Tech is a team who has been to the national title game in the last 5 years. They're a team that is generally very good, but they have struggled. UConn has also struggled. What has happened to that group? And some interesting results last night. Alabama keeps winning.
Yeah, Texas Tech, we'll start there. Just been a disaster. I keep waiting for them to all right, line in the sand, win a Big 12 game. You're not that much worse than these teams, and they just keep really underperforming. I know IMAC was out last night, but they played a whole season mostly without him, and we're okay. But you look at who they've beaten this year. I think Mr. Goodman has railed on this publicly, but they haven't beaten really anybody good. Your best wins are Louisville and Georgetown, maybe. That's not great. So yeah, hard to say a lot great about them. UConn is tumbling. Where do you have them nationally now? Because they're still highly ranked in a lot of the analytics stuff, but I don't think it's a top 20 team right now, personally.
I would say probably 22 to 27, somewhere around there. I mean, 20s ish. But no, I don't think they're not better than Xavier. They're not better than Creighton. I think they're probably right there with your North Carolinas, your Illinois, that kind of group. But I mean, it seems like they have lost every game over the last 2 weeks. It seems like they don't win at all. And what has caught up to both these teams? Some of the point guard play, most notably from Texas Tech. The guard play has not been good. Their turnover rate is very high. They can't do anything good offensively. And with UConn, I really just don't think they have a ton there. I mean, outside of Sanogo, Newton, and Hawkins, there's just not a ton there on this team. Calcaterra's been lost in translation. He hasn't been a factor at all. Just a couple of teams that are going the opposite way. Now, there's a lot of season left. There's a lot of opportunity to figure things out, but it seems like the top is runneth over for this team, these two teams. And like I said, Texas Tech, like you said, they're in a world of hurt. I mean, is their best win, is it Louisiana Tech? Is it, just nothing here. So yeah, they're in a bad way. And they can't seem to figure much out. A couple of good wins last night. Maryland, they seem to be unbeatable at home. A&M, another group that I think is kind of fraudulent could be Auburn. A lot of people have talked about them, notably and nationally. And I'll tell you, one of the best games last night that nobody talked about was Samford and Furman. I'll admit I had a little ducket on Samford last night. It was a tough beat, to be fair.
You got screwed.
Yeah. I mean, I was sitting there. I had South Florida and Samford, and both went to overtime, and I was thinking, is they really going to do me like this? I'm going to lose both these in overtime. And Samford Quez Glover just took the ball and just wouldn't pass at the end, and it just wasn't good. But a couple of good games last night. How'd you do? Did you do well?
I did okay. Got the old best bet on three-man weave, our Field 68 show. So the American and Army under went through for me. I got a buzzer beater to avoid OT in that one. OT and unders. We don't love that.
That's not what you want, and I'm glad you had that. We had a person in here yesterday that was whining that we don't talk enough mid-major. Well, we're going to do it today. In fact, I have some low major. I want to shout out to how bad Butler is. One of my favorite plays last night was Providence. I mean, this Providence team is very solid, and Butler is awful. This is now the 7th game in the Big East they have lost by 19 or more. Just a wretched team. And they had many baits last night, but it was nice, Jim. So I start the night out. I look at that score. They're down 16-9 Providence. And I'm thinking, come on, man, what is this crap? Then I turn it back, and it's 25-19 Providence, and they never looked back. Every time you looked at it, it was 16, 19, 21, and they ended up rolling. So shout out to them.
Yeah, Butler is Terrible. You mentioned the 7 games losing by 19 plus. I think it's like before this year, they had gone 9 years where they lost 9 games total by that many points. And now it's 7 in a year. I thought Thad would kind of turn it around right away, like say someone like Jerome Tang has done at K-State. But nope, the transfer additions haven't worked. They have effort levels that kind of wax and wane, and that's how you get blown out.
By the way, I want to shout out a couple of your fans, the Three Man Weave. I was in your chat earlier today, and I had a couple of people in there. Pat Taylor, I think his name is,
Yep.
a couple others. So if they're watching, shout out to those guys. For anyone that's watching and always here, the Al B's, the Brandon James, the Scotts, welcome in. Thank you for watching. And if you're new, watching us on Twitter, YouTube, welcome in. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Let's get to the games tonight. And as I said, we got a couple of important ones. Michigan, Purdue will be a focal point, but it's mid-major night. I got a couple. I get even Southland here. Shout out to the Southland. But I want to start with, I think, way too big a number. I was a bit surprised by this one. Look, I'm not going to tell you that SMU is a good basketball team because they aren't. I mean, this is a team that I believe is, 7 and 13. Rob Lanier, who came over from Georgia State, is struggling, I guess you can say. This is not a great roster on the surface. A lot of Southland players that have come over and just tried to do their thing in this conference. That said, I mean, Memphis hasn't beaten anyone by more than 10 in a long time. They play a lot of games within 10. This is a group that hasn't played real well defensively, given the circumstances. And I just don't know if they're really built to win by margins like this. They don't do it often. The last time they won by more than 10 points was way back on December 29th, almost a month, and they only did it by 13. I don't know. This seemed a bit high to me. I don't know why they're 13-point favorites here.
Yeah, felt a little high to me too. I got burned back in SMU about 2 weeks ago against UCF when Zurich Phelps was out, who's like their be-all, end-all of their offense, like one of the 10 highest usage guys in the entire country. You take him out, all right, it goes to crap against a team like UCF, but he's back. He's playing well. They've battled recently. Their worst efforts were when he was banged up or not playing. They had that really good run over Christmas out in Hawaii where they played well and should have won that tournament, quite honestly, before a Hawaii buzzer beater. I think they're competent, especially as an underdog. Lanier's always he plays a lot of different defenses. He'll trap you, he'll zone you. And I think that's good against Memphis, who isn't a great shooting team. And you can hopefully get the ball out of Kendrick Davis's hands a little bit. So yeah, getting almost 2 touchdowns there. I think you're on the right side.
I mean, you look at Kendrick Davis. I mean, as far as usage, as far as one player on one team, Memphis is very dependent on him and DeAndre Williams. There's just not a ton of talent. There's talent, but there's not a ton of focal points outside of those two. And as you said, I feel like, SMU can do enough to hang around. I like this conference, generally backing dogs. It's not generally a conference you see where there's a ton of huge blowout wins. Just kind of something I'm thinking about. I didn't quite get there to bet it yet. I just kind of wanted to talk about it at the start of the show here. This is not a vintage SMU team. Okay. There's no again, Kendrick Davis walking through the door. He's now at Memphis. So I agree with this. Memphis plays hero ball. Does seem like that a bit at times. And they're not well coached. So it's not conducive to winning by double digits. So yeah, I'm going to just rock with a thought on that. Now, a game that I did play, and I'm going to see what you think on it. I laid it here. I think this is one of the better bets tonight. I know a lot of people won't bet this because it's a lot of points in a conference game. But first of all, Oral Roberts is at home, and I'll ask you this, Jim: is this the best mid-major team? One of the best.
I'm still kind of in love with FAU, so they might be my favorite mid-major team, but we know Oral Roberts is like legitimately good and good enough to win on a big stage. Look what they did 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament. Max Asmus is still the engine of this team. They're much better defensively now because they've got some interior size. Vanover from Arkansas has given them a lot of shot blocking. Yeah, they're steamrolling this league. Denver has been nowhere near as good away from home. They've got some off-court stuff going on right now with Michael Porter Jr.'s younger brother getting arrested for vehicular manslaughter, potentially like vehicular homicide. Like that's a weird distraction I don't like. And Oral Roberts is just way better. So yeah, this. It's nice when you're laying 19 that your team can score like crazy, and Oral Roberts can't.
And keep in mind, I mean, you look at Oral Roberts; they have lost once in 2 months. Once. And that was the New Mexico, who's ranked. I mean, I don't know if they will be after this week, but they're ranked. And they lost by 7 in the pit? Or Roberts is pummeling teams. Like they just are. Already beat Denver by 18 in Denver. And I think we're like 29% from 3. So look, as you said, this team can score 90 plus. Their team total tonight, I think, is 88.5. I think Denver, as you said, a lot of issues off the court. They're not a good road team. And Oral Roberts has been pounding teams recently. So I'm going to lay it here. Big number, but this kind of struck me as like a 91-67 type of game. So I'm going to rock with that and go with the O-Rob here. I guess my thought tonight is, could I get Oral on the court and off the court? We'll see. Thoughts?
No, I have no comment. I wish you the best in both venues or both ventures.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, that's a lot of points. So I'm gonna play it though that way, nonetheless. Southland. Sela overs are 13-4 this year. Now I'm gonna ask you. I have not bet this game for one reason. Boogie Anderson. He didn't play in the last game, and he's important to Sela. Now, New Orleans has been much better in conference. Their offense has been much better, but it seems like any team that's at least competent and not Houston Baptist or like Commerce can score on them. I like the over in this game, but I don't know. I'm not going to get it. Am I going to get any information on Boogie Anderson? Probably not.
No, of course not. I've been betting a lot of Texas A&M Commerce unders, and they just played both of these two, and they dragged New Orleans into a really slow, like gross game, under, easy win. But against Sela, it went way over because that's just what Southeastern Louisiana does. They speed games up. They don't play a whole lot of defense. And that was even without Boogie Anderson, that it kind of easily cruised over against a team that like Commerce, I think, is a really good under team going forward. And the under had no chance in that game. So that just tells you how strong the overs have been with Sela.
Yeah, 13-4, as I said. I mean, road games for New Orleans. I mean, there were times that they just couldn't defend. I mean, there still are. Just a game that they're kind of interesting. This is a conference that's downhill, a lot of very guard-oriented teams. You're always going to see a lot of 78, 82, 78 type of games. Again, the problem is there, though, you don't have Sela's possible best player tonight. And maybe this gives you a little bit of interest in New Orleans, possibly. They always seem to play much better in conference, New Orleans. They're well coached. They have a good coach at the top of the helm. So I don't know. Just one that I kind of thought about. Do you like this conference? Do you bet it a lot or what?
A decent amount, yeah, especially if I can kind of figure out one or two teams and ride them. Like the Commerce unders I'll be on a lot. And Nichols, I think, is a team that I like backing. They've got a huge one tonight, basically atop the league. So it's also kind of just every team is very similar in this league. Transition, free throws, like let's get downhill and get to the rim. There's not a lot of great perimeter shooting teams, but you're getting tempo in every single game.
And by the way, you referenced some off the court stuff with Denver. Keep in mind, that is a very sad and serious situation. Now, he is no longer listed on their website as far as on the team. He was with the team coming into the season. Look, let's just be honest. A lot of kids are still connected to the kid, probably. It's just not what you want, and it's obviously a very sad situation. It's when you have a team, though, it's not great as far as helping the team. It's bad for the team as well.
To clarify, he hasn't been away from the team. He's been out with a torn ACL, but he's like traveled with them, been around the team the whole time.
Yep.
Like I think he has been a friend and a buddy on the squad. So it's just kind of odd to see that happen.
And that's the game we were talking about previously with Denver and Oral Roberts. But on this one, I kind of like the over as long as Boogie Anderson plays. But it's hard because we're likely not going to get the info on it. All right. No shot. Nadu puts out winners on the same day he called Succession trash. Not sure how that connects to the other. Also, again, the show's not good. I mean, it's just a show that is the same every week. The characters are very annoying and not funny or interesting, and they suck. It's how many times can we hear the same season about will Logan Roy give the company Waystar to his kids and they hate him and he hates that? It's the same shit week after week. Jim, just admit I'm not wrong.
Yeah, at the risk of stirring up the rabble, I watch it, but like, how many yachts can they be on? How many country clubs can they go to? Like,
Right, and it's like the same
there's one or two characters that are likable. Like, that's it.
Yeah, and like the character Roman, kind of funny, but like he's just, we know what he's gonna do. He's gonna say funny shit that annoys people, and it's just all the same. Like there's no real storyline. It's boring. Like sorry. I mean, I hate to get all you uppity rich white people upset, but the show sucks. Go watch like a show that's actually good, and then you can tell me. But the show's not good. Sorry. Now, whether I pick winners tonight has no real bearing on that. That said, Ed Cooley can coach. Yeah, definitely not about what we're talking about, but he is and someone that can coach. Now, let me ask you something, Jim. We've got a big game tonight in the Big Ten. Michigan is hosting Purdue. Now, when I first saw this line, you know what I immediately thought about? Michigan State, Purdue on Martin Luther King Day. Now, I took Michigan State there. I was able to get a cover. I'm actually getting a couple of more points here. And I'm at home like that. It was a home game. And I heard you guys talk about today. I think it was Matt Cox. He said that he liked the matchup, and I got to agree. I think if you can get Edey out on the perimeter with Dickinson, they did it last year and it worked. Now I know Jed Howard may or may not play. I still like their guard play with Michigan. I feel like I took 5.5. I thought that was too many points.
Yeah, I'm kind of dying to bet Michigan, but I want Howard in, but I understand if you still bet it without him. You mentioned getting Edey on the perimeter. Also, my friend Pete said to me, like, Purdue's big loss, or only loss this year, was when Edey was in foul trouble, and Dickinson's the kind of like actual mammoth human that can get him in foul trouble on the block. And I think Purdue kind of crumbles without him. Like that is their whole system is built around him drawing attention, feeding him in the post. So if you can get him off the floor for 20 minutes of the game instead of just 10 right now, the way he plays, then they're really running into trouble. And Juwan Howard's 5-0 against the spread against Matt Painter, which surprised me.
What have they covered? 9 of 10, I think, against Michigan. It's something crazy. They've been very good against Purdue. Throw in the fact Chrysler Center is a tough place to play. I think if you're getting anything out of Howard, that'd be great. Let me ask you, what guards would you rather have? McDaniel and Buffkin or Lawyer Smith?
Can I cop out and do what Matt Cox did and say I want the guys that are playing at home?
Right. I think, and again, I don't like them a ton either way, both of them, but I, again, rather would have the home team. And I like Buffkin. I think Doug McDaniel's been solid for them. And Braden Smith is still a freshman. This is one of the tougher places in this conference to go. And home court is so big in this conference, man. I think Purdue will find a way to win, but I think it's one of those knockdown, drag out Big Ten games. So I'm going to rock with Michigan here. K-Man Corner says Michigan stinks, Portnoy factor. Well, that's not very nice. And by the way, he's been on point with his lightning bets recently. And by the way, he mentioned the lightning bet. A lightning bet is like a game that he likes and says that if he likes it, he's just going to like it, but bet the other side. He said he liked Michigan, so Purdue is the play. So luckily we're on the other side of him in this one. So we're going to rock it with that. So you agree, Michigan, right?
Yep, I do. I will bet it if Jed Howard's in and hopefully get 5 before it moves. If not, I still kind of lean that way for sure.
What if you knew Jed Howard was not going to play 1 minute?
I would hope that it gets bet up to like 6.5 and take it, but this might already reflect like the doubt that he's going to play. I like Michigan with the home dog. Dickinson also, we know, like gets up when the opponent intrigues him, and I would imagine Zach Edey intrigues him.
By the way, little note here. So Round Ball, which is what Hunter is on, they have been lobbying to get Edey. It never happened. And our old friend Rico Bosco was able to speak to him. So I don't know what the thought about that is from the Round Ball boys. They're not probably happy, but wonder what Dickinson thinks about that. But you're right. He does enjoy playing up to competition. He should be ready to go in this one. When it comes to Edey Dickinson, you're always going to pick Edey. Maybe Dickinson has something to say about that tonight. By the way, I'm going to bring something up to you. Speaking of Michigan, I saw a lot of people. Oh my God, did you see what Amani Bates did tonight? I got to admit, I thought it was pretty pathetic, to be fair. And I'll tell you why. They still lost. And B, how does that happen? He's that, what do you take every shot? Did anyone else do anything on that team at all?
He scored 29 straight at one point, so it was pretty much no one else was doing it.
No, it's it's like, wow. Hunter's nauseating. I don't agree with that. I like Hunter. I like the fact that he speaks out. And it's funny. A lot of people will say, "Oh, why don't athletes ever talk?" Then when they do, it's like, "Well, I don't want you to talk. You're nauseating." No, he's good. Let him do his thing. Okay. Let me get to one other game here. This one is interesting. This screams Jelly Walker is playing tonight, and he's going to come back and play with vengeance, isn't he? Because UAB has been a disaster recently. I mean, they have been awful. I think they've lost 5 of 6, 4 or 5.
5 of 6, yep.
Yeah, it's been ugly. And now they're 8.5-point favorites against La Tech, who is decent. I think this tells us Jelly Walker will play. They're at home. This number's been bet up from 7.5 to 8.5. Alabama Birmingham tonight looks good.
Yeah, well, and the only win in that 5 of 6 losses is at Alabama or at Louisiana Tech. So they've already beaten them with Jelly on the sideline.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you feel about what Kennedy did where he said, Walker's been cleared, it's just a pain tolerance thing? Are you, selling out your player a little bit where, if he doesn't play, you've kind of made him sound soft? Because that's what he said. It's it's purely, can he manage the pain? It's up to him.
Well, I'll just be honest. I know Coach Andy Kennedy. I spoke to him at the Barstool Invitational. He doesn't come across like that to me.
No, I interviewed from the Almanac. I liked him for sure.
Yeah, he seems pretty likable, honestly. And I think he's just challenging his best player, who he believes is one of the best players in the country, to be out there. And I think Jelly will be out there. I think we don't want to say he's going to play, but he's playing. He's good. He's a senior. He needs to be out there. They need him. I think he feeds off stuff like that. Does it kind of pain him if he doesn't play? Yeah, maybe. That's actually a good point. But I don't feel like they have that relationship. I think he'll be out there. I think he'll drop 25 tonight, and I think they'll win by 10 plus. But it's interesting. It's an interesting comment. I read that myself. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Alabama Birmingham tonight at home against La Tech. And by the way, as Jim said, already won this game 81-74 by 7 in Ruston.
With no Jelly. So
right. You get him back. Seems like a 10-point win. And this number speaks for itself to me. That's just my thought. I want to ask you quickly. I saw a podcast. It's a Louisiana-based podcast, like a sports show. And they had a conversation where you have to pick your child's name as one of the cities in Louisiana. And someone said, I'd call my kid Ruston. It's actually a pretty good name for a kid, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad. I'll buy that. It's better than
someone that
Rouge.
Lives in
you call your kid Rouge?
Yeah, or like Slidell or something. Or like Nacogdoches. Isn't that in Louisiana?
There's a good one. My son, Lake Charles.
Right. Or, hey, this is New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yes, hit the like button. Exactly. All right. Those are the 5 games that I wanted to go over. That said, I want to ask you about a few. Arizona seems to be getting going a bit. I had said last week that I thought UCLA was one of the best teams in the country. They put UCLA in a buzzsaw. Tonight, UCLA plays at USC and Arizona plays at Wazoo. Are you looking to get in front of Arizona? Because I'm not.
No, not really. Especially, I know there's potential for some mild letdown because they just beat UCLA, huge win, but they've also lost to Washington State already this year in one of the biggest shooting split games of the season. Wazoo was 12 of 28 from 3, Arizona was 4 for 25. Like, you flip those to even, and suddenly Arizona wins that game by like 9. I think we see a pretty angry Arizona team on the road in Pullman.
Agreed. San Diego Pepperdine 161. I like the over. First game is 92-89. You talk about teams that you want to bet over the total. It's these two. Both have, at least Pepperdine have NBA talent. Houston Millette and guys like that. San Diego up and down as well. Yeah, this seemed like first to 85 wins to me.
Yeah, big stamp of approval from me for that one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you get the? I heard a certain group of people are on this tonight. This bet right here. Did you hear that?
I heard that. I did not end up betting this. It's moved a little bit. Some of the tempo stuff with UCLA and kind of the historical matchup with these two make me think under. So I was actually surprised that particular group is on the over. But again, I think there's enough pulling in two directions that I sat out that game.
And when I say particular group, it rhymes with Nas.
Correct.
Yes. I'm not going to say who they are, but if you know college hoops, you know who they are. Someone's saying how many beers they're going to drink tonight. I only go out on Saturdays, man. Come on. I'm not some drunk. I don't go out every night. Promise. We'll do one more. I kind of liked Iowa. Am I crazy? I kind of felt like they're the better team here. Maybe not. I mean, I like Michigan State. I like Izzo, obviously, and I hate Fran McCaffrey, but I don't know. This was 3. It's now 2. I kind of thought it was a close game. I'll take the 2 points.
Yeah, I'd have Iowa rated slightly better on a neutral without Malik Hall. If Malik Hall was playing, I'd be on Michigan State here, but without him, I kind of tilt towards the Hawkeyes. We'll see if Patrick McCaffrey plays. I think he was supposed to come back from his personal leave of absence, but we're not sure if he's going to play tonight yet.
I don't know what's happened to Florida Gulf Coast. I actually like Queens a little bit here. I like the way they play. Probably seems like a pretty high-scoring game. This one's moved from 1 to 2. Kind of lean Queens, but then I realized, do I really want to back Queens? They're just a hideous defensive team, and one of the problems I had last night with Samford is they just couldn't get a stop. I mean, late in the game. I mean, just constant wide open threes. It's just a disaster. Another team I don't really want to back, Radford. I don't think they're very good on defense. I think they win this game tonight. This is a great spot at home for them, but I like Grant Aldrich. That's their coach, right?
Griff.
Griff. Yeah. Started with a G. Griff. A former financial guy who decided I'm not going to be financial. I'm just going to go coach basketball. Shout out to Farmville, North Carolina. I like Longwood, but it seems like a good Radford spot. Anything on this one?
Yeah, not sure. This is huge for the Big South title. Like, Longwood's at the top, but Radford's trying to climb up and catch him. I always am hesitant to fade the home team in those games. Like, that was kind of there's one tonight that's like that. I forget who, but if your back's against the wall and you got to hang in. Oh, Sam Houston State's like that too, where you need it to kind of keep the race alive, and that's the way Radford is tonight.
This is completely untrue. I don't remember even discussing that game. I would not say that. All right, Jim, before we let you go, any other plays you have an eye on tonight?
I'll go one over, one under. What's the over I really liked? Oh, Drexel, North Carolina, A&T, out of the CAA. A&T's playing really, really fast in league play. And if they get a willing dance partner, then I think they kind of get up and down. Drexel's more pace taker. That's a term we like to use. I know we've talked about it on here. Teams that will play what the other team's pace is, and I think Drexel will do that. And then under, I mentioned my Commerce boys in the Southland. I'm going back to that well tonight. They play Lamar, who's really bad, especially on defense, but I just think that game becomes kind of a crawl. Commerce will throw some zones at them, slow down game. I weirdly like an under in the Southland, where those games are usually high scoring.
One other game that I'm just wanted to bring up, North Texas might win by 30 tonight. This might be 75-40 or something. I mean, I think they might just completely boat race Utsa. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that should be an angry North Texas team after they lost to Rice, kind of a not quite a rival, but like a nearby school that they typically beat. I guess they've beaten UAB since then, but UTSA has had some injuries. They've been banged up. Mador, their best player, point guard, has been out. And if he's out again, I don't know how they score against that North Texas defense.
Keep in mind, last season against North Texas, UTSA scored 45 and 48.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, maybe a team total under on Utsa. That said, Jim Root, good to see you. Check out Jim Root on Twitter at Second Chance Points. Make sure you go follow him. Everyone in here, 315 people, go do that right now. Check out the three-man weave, three of the best guys in the game. By the way, Kelly said she saw your boy Kai at the game. Yes, good people over there. You're doing all sorts of good content, Theater 68, all sorts of good stuff. So go check out those guys. Jim, I hope you have a good weekend. Any NFL you like today this weekend?
I want to tease the Niners with somebody kind of through that 3.5, 7.5, but I don't know who to put them with. What do you got for me?
No.
Oh, the Eagles. That's right.
I will be there on Sunday. I'm very excited. Listen, I think a tease is good, though. I'm just kidding. I think if you can get them up over a touchdown, I think the game's close. I think the Eagles will ultimately win, but I think it's a close game. I think getting 8.5 would be great. I also think if you can get 1.5 with the Bengals, I would tease that up to 7.5. I think both games are close either way. I think the over and the Chiefs makes a lot of sense. I love that. I like the under and the Eagles. So, yeah, it's two good games, two great teams, two great games with four good teams. So,
yeah, it's awesome. Both spreads under a field goal. Like it's what more could you ask for?
Now, Jim, I do have a quick announcement before you go. I am possibly banging the tires around on doing some sort of live betting show tonight. If you're interested in coming on for a couple of minutes,
I could try to. I'm on the Field of 68's After Dark as well tonight, so I'll be all over streams. I can try to pop in.
I'm still figuring if I'm going to do it. I don't know what the tenor of the environment's going to be out there. Do people want me to do it? But there's some good live betting that I've been doing. So that said, good to see you. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, good luck to your Eagles, man. Enjoy.
Thanks, brother. See you, Jim.
See ya.
Take it easy. Thanks for jumping in, as always, Jim. Nadu, give us some tunes for Chilly Thursday Night. Is a Fool to Want You by Sinatra, maybe. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I would look into, something a lot of people don't know about me is I love jazz. Love it. I'm a very big fan of jazz. I would recommend Yusef Lateef. Terrific. Big fan of Yusef Lateef. R.C. Shep. Big fan of his as well. I love jazz. John Coltrane, even if you really want to get into it. Jazz. I love jazz. Everyone loves jazz. If you don't love jazz, you suck. But I don't mind if you want to go the Sinatra route, maybe turn on a little memorial to the great Jerry Blavat, maybe a Memories at Margate on Saturday night and listen to some Frankie Valli and Diane, or Donna Summer, stuff like that. I don't know. A little party music. I don't know. All right. Have I been watching anything on Netflix lately? No. So I'm actually rewatching Jersey Shore. I haven't watched Jersey Shore in a while, and I saw Hulu had it. So I'm rewatching that. I'm in season 1. It's been a while. So yeah, I'm rewatching it. And Mike, the situation is the best. He's so funny. What's your favorite sushi roll? Spicy tuna. Spicy tuna. Yep, already heard it many times. Yeah, it is. It's really good. Classic. I'm a big fan of your show. The sit down and watching you live is more than amazing. Keep up the great work. Go Astros. Thank you, G-Man. Appreciate that. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. If you guys have any other questions, it doesn't have to be basketball related. You're welcome to come on in. James M, what's up? How you doing, man? So yeah, for me, I am going to play. I got O-Rob -19, and I like UAB. I think they get the job done tonight by double digits against La Tech. All right. Yep, I wouldn't be betting on them. Appreciate that. Thank you, Kyle. Right? Yeah, thanks for checking out the show. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching, Adam. I don't have anything on UT Martin Lindenwood. Did it make your head hurt when Mike bashed his head against the wall in Italy? Yes. That definitely seemed like it hurt for sure. There's a great scene in season 1. I just watched the episode last night where Vinny is attempting to hook up with Mike's sister, and at one point Mike is in the jacuzzi with this girl Paula, and they're like fucking in the jacuzzi. And Vinny's watching it. And at one point, Mike finds out that he's watching it. And they're like in the living room. And he's like, you're banging her. And he's like, why are you watching? Did you go in the shower and jerk off after? And Vinny just essentially says, like, I would never want to be like you at 27 years old. And Mike just looks at him and goes, you have no game at all. And then Vinny just goes, well, so your sister thinks I do. It's just a great scene. Very funny. Very funny. Do I have any thoughts on SEMO, Tennessee Tech? Lean over. SEMO plays fast. I like the over. Can you do an episode on the Dallas Mafia? I don't know if that's worth the show. I mean, a lot of it has to do with Kennedy and stuff. Maybe at some point I'll do like a cumulative show about all those families, like small little excerpts on each. Details on a live gambling show. I don't know. I was going to maybe come on and do something, but we'll see. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate it. Do you have any contact with any new dozen teams? No, I haven't. I haven't heard what he's been saying. Why wouldn't I? I just said I bet it. It is what it is. I'm banned, according to Jeff D. Lowe. I don't bet Mac. I don't care about it. I lean Iona, though. Do I like Paul Mills, the coach? Yeah, I like Paul Mills. Of course. I mean, I'm betting on Oral Roberts, so I bet her. But yeah, that's pretty much my thought on the card tonight. How deep does the KC mob run? Not deep anymore. They're not even a family anymore. You should definitely do an Irish mob video in Chicago. We'll see. Speaking of Chicago, I will be in Chicago February 13th to the 15th. So make sure you, if you live there, we have some big plans coming. We have some big possibly plans coming. Well, not possibly. They are happening. And you can all come. So I hope you do if you live in the Chicago area. So yes, it was Valentine's Day. Who will be my Valentine? I guess you'll have to wait and see. Who is the most ruthless mobster ever? Anthony Casso. Bar none. As far as actual murderer, Roy DeMeo. But there are some other ones that are not talked about as much. Charles Panarella, Charlie Carneglia, John Carneglia. Yeah, I mean, Nicky Scarfo was ruthless. I would go Anthony Casso, though. Have you ever looked into the government involvement with the mafia in Sicily prior to the invasion of Italy? Yes, they used the mafia to help them. Absolutely. I bought it from some place online. I bought both of them. Any thoughts on the lawyer of one of the Idaho victims switching to the murderer side? Well, she wasn't a lawyer for one of the victims. She was a lawyer for the mother of one of the victims. Yeah, I don't have much in the way of a comment towards that. Any other cities you're going to? Yes, I do for March Madness, but I can't say where. So you'll find out in due time. Are you ever visiting the Staten Island dump? I would now. I think she's sexy now. Back then, she wasn't that hot. They would go there for vacations and things like that. I thought Angelina was fine. Yeah, as she got older. Like as she, once they got into the later seasons. If you actually know him, though, I mean, not saying I did, but if you know anything about him, he was actually not that ruthless. I mean, he definitely killed people for sure, but I mean, there were people that I think were way nuttier than him. What are you going to do for the Super Bowl? If the Eagles are in, I will be at the Barstool Bar in Philadelphia. So I guess you guys have to wait and see. Yeah, I got some things I'm planning. So if you live in Philly and the Eagles make it, that's if they make it, I will be there. I will be there for sure. UAB. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm going to go work out. Going to go out in the cold air and get some cold air in my lungs and run a little bit. I hope you have a nice evening. I'll let you guys know if I do a stream or not. We got to kind of figure that out. So we'll see. It's all about getting the book involved. We'll see. I'll figure it out. So, all right, I'm out. Thank you to Jim Root for coming on. We will see you all again soon. Until next time, later.